fireworks exploding in the sky. It's become a kind of ritual, a riveting way to celebrate great occasions. The age-old magic of fireworks in the hands of today's most accomplished pyrotechnicians still delivers the biggest, most amazing, jaw-dropping impact found anywhere. In search of the greatest fireworks on Earth, we'll go to some of the greatest events. Whether it's New Year's in Las Vegas, Fiesta time in Spain, the 4th of July at Mount Rushmore, or in China, the birthplace of fireworks, or simply as a rollicking kickoff to the Kentucky Derby, we'll demonstrate their awesome power, a force that people the world over can't resist. Man has always been fascinated by fire. The art of fireworks directs that basic appeal skyward in dazzling displays of sound and light. Like any art, there are certain masters of the trade. Secret techniques and fireworks recipes passed down from generation to generation have kept the business in the hands of a talented few fireworks families. In America, for instance, it's surprising the number of major events that feature fireworks designed by either the Zambelli or Grucci families, two of the best known. A magnificent example of the skill and artistry of the Zambellis is the annual Independence Day display at Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. The Zambellis are very used to patriotic themes, having designed the fireworks for no fewer than 5 presidential inaugurations. Jeff Idemiller and Daryl Clulow are the key pyrotechnicians on the mountain.
How more American can you get being behind 4 presidents? This show is very emotional to me and my crew.
We do shows all over the United States, but to come here and to say we're the only guys that have ever done a show on top of Mount Rushmore, that is special.
In the Black Hills of South Dakota, known for their cowboy lore and rugged beauty, Mount Rushmore is a place of pilgrimage. People come here to gaze in wonder at the sculpted lines and massive scale of this shrine to American democracy. More than 2.5 million visitors a year attest to Mount Rushmore's special place in the public's imagination.
George Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Roosevelt.
I wanted to make sure they were able to see it, and for us to see it for the first time, and for them to come back later on when they're older.
I think Mount Rushmore really represents to a lot of people the stability of our country. Many people see those 4 presidents as just embodying much of what is good about our form of government. And others see it as a wonderful piece of art. And so I think it's a lot of different things to a lot of people, but for all people, it's a magnet.
Like America itself, Mount Rushmore was created by nature, but shaped by man. To attract tourism, South Dakota commissioned sculptor Gutzon Borglum in the 1920s to create a monumental work of art out of the mountainside. Borglum felt the project merited as its subject the greatest leaders in American history. Translating this vision into stone would prove challenging.
He had to change the design of the mountain 9 times during the course of the 14 years of carving. And the reason he had to change it is because he ran into faults in the mountain or different areas that couldn't be carved successfully. For example, the Jefferson face was started on the opposite side of Washington, and he had to be removed after a year's worth of work and relocated. Jefferson is looking higher into the air, and the reason for that is because there was a crack that ran through Jefferson's nose, and he had to keep tilting the head back in order to get the crack out of the nose.
Work on the mountain had begun in 1927. For these miners-turned-craftsmen, it wasn't long before the task was transformed from a needed paycheck in the Depression to the challenge of a lifetime. With chisels, jackhammers, and dynamite, they were creating a treasure for all the world to see. It took over 14 years to complete at a cost of just under $1 million. Before there was ever a Mount Rushmore, John Adams had said the best way to mark America's independence would be with bells, bonfires, and illuminations. To this day, there is still no better way to celebrate than with fireworks. And Zambelli Fireworks International intends to make this year's Mount Rushmore celebration unforgettable. To do so requires good planning and a lot of sweat. To set up the show, the crew has to hike up and down the mountain at least 5 times, leading up to the 4th of July.
Okay, I got 2. Well, the hardest part of this show is actually getting the equipment up on top of the mountain.
The unique location presents some unique challenges, as Chief Ranger Mike Flom explains.
The only way we can get 50,000 pounds of fireworks and equipment up there is by helicopter. Fireworks are launched from a natural canyon right up behind the sculpted heads. It's a fairly narrow canyon. To get the helicopter sling loads in this narrow canyon is somewhat of a challenge.
Basically, it's almost like a war. We have mortars, shells. The mortars are positioned in a box according to the script, and then we hold them in that position with sand.
This is the only fireworks display fired inside a national forest. At showtime, there will be over 300 fire personnel spread out around the mountain. Branches are pruned back from trees that might be in harm's way.
Gun, bomb, mortar, shell.
What I'm doing right now is actually squibbing the shells, putting electronic match into the shell. And in these boxes, we range everywhere from a 4-inch shell, this would be a 5-inch, then we go up to an 8 and 10s, all the way up to a 12-inch shell. The cables go up to the firing panel, which I'll be at. I'll have headphones on, I'll be listening to cues, and as I go down, and as soon as I make my contact, this squib ignites the black powder.
The crew that I have, we've been together for a while, so we know how each other works. We don't have to tell each other what we're doing. We know what we have to get done, and it's real easy. We're going to have a low-level portion, which is going to be set off right on top, and that's going to be tiger tails, Roman candles, and then we have some devices that'll shoot off almost 1,400 little devices into the air within about 30 seconds.
I am proud to be an American.
I am a fireworks fanatic and a Mount Rushmore fanatic.
The feeling that it creates in me when I'm watching the fireworks, it makes me cry.
This is the Mount Rushmore or Bust member club, and we're giving these out to certain people to be in our club this year.
Mount Rushmore's 4th of July fireworks attract over 30,000 people. The fireworks will be visible 20 miles away, so there are thousands in addition who will get to experience the show from their rooftops and campers.
Brought all the family with us. We have 14 of us here.
Yeah, we're ready. We drove out from LA. And look at this. Is this not beautiful? This is awesome. We're ready.
A hush descends on the crowd as time draws near.
got to ooze patriotism. A couple years ago, my brother-in-law came and saw the show, and it grabbed his heart and it just twisted it. And hopefully we're doing that to a lot of the people that are out there.
Our 4th of July weekend celebration of Mount Rushmore is really a celebration of America. We're in the heartland of America. Well, the combination of those 4 presidents and the fireworks over them is hard to beat any place in the world.
The Kentucky Derby. World-class events like this are almost always celebrated with fireworks. Out to discover the world's best pyrotechnic displays, we've come to Louisville, Kentucky, where the Zambelli Fireworks Company is once again on the scene, setting up for the mammoth Thunder over Louisville.
It's monstrous, it's thunderous, it's so powerful. And it leaves the 750,000 spectators with a feeling that they can't experience anywhere else in the world.
The whole idea behind this show was everybody wants a finale, let's do nothing but a finale, and then put a finale on top of the finale.
Louisville, on the banks of the Ohio River, is a vibrant area, rich in history and home to some of the country's most enduring traditions. The famous Louisville Slugger Bat Company occupies a place in the heart of baseball lovers. For over a century, it has handcrafted the game's primary tools of the trade. And nurtured on Kentucky grasses rich in limestone, the world's fastest thoroughbreds are raised here, with their characteristic strong bones and joints. Each May, during Kentucky Derby Week, the best horses test their mettle in America's most famous equestrian event. Louisville's Churchill Downs becomes the sporting world's center of attention and the place to see and be seen. But the festivities begin well in advance of the races, as Louisville's mayor, David L. Armstrong, explains.
But if you can imagine the best carnival, the best attraction you would ever go see, you see that leading up to the running of the Kentucky Derby.
2 weeks of balls, concerts, cookouts, steamboat races, and float-filled parades, bringing in over $60 million to Louisville. And what initiates it all is the gargantua of all pre-game pyrotechnics, Thunder over Louisville.
Like the mythical Greek gods shooting a flaming arrow into the air, here, when Thunder over Louisville lights up the sky all throughout the region, you know something very special is going to happen for the next 2 weeks.
In the design process of most typical fireworks displays, the location dictates what pyrotechnicians can and can't do. But Thunder is not your typical fireworks display.
This display is literally shot right on the Ohio River from 6 super barges. We get the reflections, we get the reverberations off the water, and it's just a perfect venue.
We could use special effects off of the 2nd Street Bridge, and the sheer scope of the Ohio River and the width of the river allows you to do almost anything that you want that's available in the pyrotechnic industry.
Louisville's 2nd Street Bridge will serve as Thunder's centerpiece. Though no large diameter aerial shells will be launched from it, the bridge will literally burst into flames as wave after wave of low and medium fireworks are set off throughout the show. The crew has the painstaking task of setting up tens of thousands of mortars and special effects tubes spanning both sides of the bridge.
We're sending bombs up maybe sometimes 6, 7 at a time, and that, you know, fills the sky up. But the other way, when we used to shoot it, was just one bomb at a time, and it wouldn't fill the sky up like you see today.
Also, from both sides of the bridge will cascade the signature effect of thunder over Louisville, a giant Niagara Falls of sparkling flame. One look at the 1,800 feet of super barges fully loaded gives an idea of the massive scale of this show. In total, the display will incorporate nearly 52,000 shells and special effects, 60 tons of explosives, 2 million tons of sand, and 700 miles of wire. All that's left now is to connect from computers set up inside fortified containers those super wireways to modules along the chain of command, as Chief Pyrotechnician David Evans explains.
From the containers, they come down with a wire, and it goes in here, and there's interfaces in here, and the commands are given out of the back into this cable, and inside the pipe is the shell that is squibbed onto the leader. And there's a detonator in there. When it sends a command, it shorts that detonator out, and it fires a shell.
It's the split-second computer firing that makes such an enormous show possible. The morning of the fireworks, the Zambelli crew meets on the bridge to go over last-minute details.
So I bought 18 radios. I got 6, and 2.
Meanwhile, the crowd has already begun to build on both shores of the Ohio, arriving early to secure a spot for the day-long air show and fireworks that follow.
We knew we had really hit it when we started hearing the community talk about our Thunder over Louisville. It's like a sporting event. When the community takes ownership in it, that's when you know that you've made the mark, and that's what we've got.
Just to be together and see the fireworks and stuff like that, it's just a tradition, really.
It's electrifying. It keeps getting louder, bigger. The whole downtown lights up. You can feel the, the electricity and everything firing off the back of these buildings.
Everyone gets excited and see all the bright colors. We would like to make this a tradition.
It's very exciting. It makes you proud to be a part of the event.
An afternoon and evening of crack aerial acrobatics later, the moment everyone has been waiting for finally arrives. The sheer size and scope of the launching platforms, in addition to the bridge, in excess of 3,000 feet, make an unforgettable impression. It's clear why Thunder has become a benchmark for most fireworks shows in North America.
Some unknown piece of magic what fireworks does to the human soul. I mean, it is excitement no matter if you're a child, an elderly person, it'll bring the childhood out in you.
My daughter turns to me at the end of every one of these, tears in her eyes, and says, "Dad, it's better than last year." And she's been saying that now for over 16 years.
Just as the Kentucky Derby has earned the right to be called racing's top event, Thunder over Louisville has gained the reputation as one of the world's great fireworks displays, giving America's heartland something magnificent to light up the night sky. Fireworks celebrate the joy of life itself. In so doing, they share a common element with many of the world's great festivals, which themselves wouldn't be complete without fireworks. One event that pushes pyrotechnics to the max is Las Fallas, celebrated each spring in Valencia, Spain. Here, hundreds of magnificently sculpted monuments are erected, only to be cremated in a binge of citywide pyrotechnics. It's nearly a month of constant booms and bangs in the city's squares and narrow streets, culminating in a week of passion, pageantry, and fireworks like nowhere else on Earth. Bounded by mountains and the Mediterranean, Valencia is known as the Garden of Spain. One-time Roman colony, Moorish possession, and medieval silk exchange, Valencia and its people have always been recognized for their great talents, excellent craftsmanship, and their amazing fiestas. Valencia's Las Fallas celebration is a tradition that has grown and blossomed from its roots in the Middle Ages. Originally held to usher in spring, it has evolved into a fantastic festival centered around the building and the burning of over 700 spectacular monuments. Through the centuries, one constant has remained: the element of fire. The day one festival ends, work begins full-time on the next year's monuments, or fallas as they're known. It's an endless cycle of birth, celebration, and death by fire. Several weeks before the start of Las Fallas, Valencia begins to come alive to the sound of black powder, morning, noon, and night, every day more intense. Each neighborhood, in some sections each street, has its own larger-than-life and children's fallas. The fallas frequently include over a dozen figures, portraying humorous, often scathing cartoon-like scenes from current events, politics, and popular culture. People vote for their favorites, and awards are given to the winners. From among its many beautiful Fallera maidens, every neighborhood elects its own Fallera queen and children's Fallera queen to grace the proceedings. Each midday at Valencia's town square and at each of the 370 fallas sites around the city, daytime sound fireworks, known as mascletá, are set off in a deafening orgy of noise. For generations, Pirotecnia Caballero of Valencia, a family-owned business, has been responsible for a major part of the fireworks at Las Fallas. Vicente Caballero is its current patriarch.
The mascletá is a uniquely Valencian phenomenon. Outside of Spain, outside of Valencia, it's a very difficult thing to understand.
Within the acoustic confines of a city square, rows and rows of supersized firecrackers, called maroons, are strung together by the thousands. The mascletá is the most powerful display of noise in all fireworks.
We need 6 hours for set up these maroons. All maroons on the ground is only noise. This is on the ground and that is on the sky. It's a lot of different noises.
From a balcony overlooking the town square, the Fallera queen, chosen to represent all Valencia, gives the command to begin the mascletá. There is no event in the pyrotechnic world with such overwhelming effect.
For us, the people of Valencia, it is the art of expressing harmonized noise.
A special falla is erected in the town square to honor the city as a whole, over which the Fallera Queen of Valencia and her attendants preside. This year, it depicts the civilizations that have influenced Valencia's people and culture. The falla that sits in the town square has the added distinction of serving as daily backdrop to the city's largest mascletá, a special honor for its creator, Pedro Baenas Garcia, one of Valencia's most respected fallas artists.
The noise of the mascletá fireworks accentuates the grandeur of the monument. It's much more spectacular to see and experience the work with the noise of the fireworks than without the noise.
A few days prior to the festival's fiery end, over 100,000 Valencians begin a proud, reverent, yet joyous pilgrimage to the cathedral. Women and girls in embroidered silk dresses adorned with gold and jewels, and men and boys wearing traditional satin jackets and sashes, all parade through the streets to offer bouquets of flowers at the foot of the Virgin Mary. During Fallas Week, no one sleeps. Accordingly, the flower offerings continue uninterrupted into the early hours of the morning. And every night of the week, after 12 o'clock, there is a rousing fireworks display outside the city's ancient walls. The next day, it begins all over again. The mascletas, the ceremonies, the parades, and flower offerings. When the last bouquets are presented, well after midnight, more than 25 tons of flowers will have been carried into the Basilica Square. Once back at their neighborhood fallas, paraders celebrate another year's pageant. It's a time for merrymaking with friends and family. Spontaneous joy marks the end of the sacred flower offerings as Valencia launches one of Europe's greatest aerial firework barrages. It's a display known throughout the pyrotechnic world as the Night of Fire.
One can't even conceive of Las Fallas without fireworks. The grandfather, the grandson, the father, the mother, the children. Everyone forms their own opinion about fireworks. It has nothing to do with politics or anything else. It's a part of the culture of the people. It's a spectacle that unites all of humanity.
As always, the festival concludes the next day on March 19th, the Feast of St. Joseph, patron saint of Valencia. Hundreds of pounds of maroons are set off within a few minutes. Smoke, deafening reports, and the smell of black powder fill the plazas, which are packed to capacity. And then the thundering final flourish. Revelers storm the barricades, roaring their approval over what they've just witnessed. They call for the master pyrotechnician, who appears on the balcony of the Fallera Queen. Preparations now begin for the festival's ultimate act of destruction. Starting at 10 p.m., all of the over 700 fallas around the city will be burned. A small yet emotional fireworks show is launched as a salute to Valencia's Fallera Queen and her court of honor in the final remaining moments of their reign. Minutes later, the last falla in the city still standing begins to burn. Valencia's history is full of skilled goldsmiths, gifted poets, brilliant painters, and patient carvers. So it's little wonder, yet still amazing, that so many masterful works can be created from scratch each year for this festival. Perhaps the Fallas artist's inspiration arises from the perpetual need to replace what is gone. For as Valencians often remind themselves, such beauty has been created to be burned. And oh, what magical fire! Just add fireworks and you've got a party. In search of the world's greatest firework displays, we've come to Las Vegas, where the party never stops. The renowned Grucci family, in the pyrotechnics business for well over 100 years, knows this better than most. In addition to Super Bowls, Olympics, and other grand ceremonies around the world, they've staged displays at almost every major casino opening here over the last half-century. So when they were asked to design a New Year's Eve program, Phil Grucci, grandson of the company founder, knew just what they wanted.
Typically Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, if you will, they do it flashy, they do it big. At zero, the whole strip goes. I get goosebumps just thinking about it right now.
Being on that strip, you're going to feel it, smell it, everything. It'll hit all of your senses and they will be blown away.
Pyrotechnically, the energy is going to be there. It's not going to be solemn. It's going to be very happy. So come here and enjoy yourself. Come to the city of entertainment and come celebrate.
An oasis to early Spanish traders, Las Vegas is today a haven to visitors the world over. The hotel and casino boom along the Las Vegas Strip and beyond has attracted the rich and wannabe rich to this American desert city. It's also brought middle-class tourists, jumbo-sized conventions, vacationing families, and just enough other elements to make it interesting. Here, opulence and cash flow are king. Its casinos gross over $6 billion from gaming alone. With so much entertainment, what does the city do when it wants to really pull out the stops? New Year's Eve is one of those rare occasions in Las Vegas when what's going on inside the casinos isn't the only game in town. As night falls, people swarm out onto the Strip, ready to party.
This city is the type of city that draws people to it to release all the problems that they may have that one moment, that one evening. And this New Year's Eve is the culmination of the mega program on a stage that's 4 miles wide.
Las Vegas's mega program has evolved into a high-rolling fireworks extravaganza. Billed as America's Party, this spectacular New Year's finale is shot from 22 casinos, stretching from one end of the Strip to the other.
I think the reason why people ask or demand fireworks for New Year's Eve is because it's a moment to celebrate. It's something that's very energetic, something that's happy.
This year, the Grucci team has the challenge of getting 41,000 firework devices safely onto 22 locations, 12 of them high-rise hotel roofs. In all, the show will require over 4,000 hours of setup time. And because this is Las Vegas, it will incorporate special designer shells from countries around the world.
The product that we use, the special effects, more so for New Year's Eve than we would say for a 4th of July program, are the whites, the glitters, the cold looks because of the winter, all of the silvers, and a little touch of red and green naturally coming off the holiday that we're coming off of right now. But it's very festive.
Today's cutting-edge firework displays have raised the bar on technology. America's Party will average 1,100 digital firing instructions per minute, coming from 32 computers. They, in turn, will utilize a uniform time-coded signal as reference for integrating all 22 launch sites.
We have drum rolls, and you'll actually see the building up and down the strip because we're utilizing the technology, split-second technology of the computers. You'll have those rolls back and forth, and there's moments when the comets will be firing on a 60-degree angle to left stage, a 60-degree angle to right stage, and they'll go back and forth almost like windshield wipers. To see the whole strip do that, that's going to be a real charge to see that happen and integrate that whole thing as one.
At the aerial shell ground level sites, fireworks will be launched the old-fashioned way, by hand. That doesn't mean pyrotechnicians will be out there lighting fuses with a torch. It does mean shells at these locations will be fired by the push of a button instead of a command from a computer. One thing for certain, the total effect will be awesome.
We have a multi-billion-dollar stage out there that no one else has, and we need to light it up with one big party celebration and fireworks topping it off.
Night falls on New Year's Eve. The roof of the Rio Casino, with a commanding view of the entire strip, is the control center for the show. Tension mounts as last-minute checks at all the sites are performed.
Treasure Island, is your aerial above you clear? Is that helicopter over you, or are you clear? Over?
Unlike most programs, there can be no delays. Midnight is midnight.
If my heart isn't pumping out of my chest just before that program happens, either I'm a little bit too cocky or I really have no idea what I'm doing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4...
becomes a golden Milky Way as gold flitter split comets, the Grucci signature shell, explode above the great length of casinos.
My greatest hope is to create this show to be as big as New York's celebration so that the rest of the world will go, oh my God, you have to be in Las Vegas on New Year's Eve. It's unbelievable what they do.
Bright white magnesium comets turn the night into day as the show builds to its finale.
Excellent job. Everybody deserved this one. Happy New Year. Nice. Got that sucking on.
Fireworks are a form of expression that convey across national and ethnic divides strong feelings that include joy, honor, and pride. To find the world's greatest displays, it's only natural that we should go to China, which recently hosted a gathering of heads of state, with fireworks featured prominently on the official slate. It was a great honor for Fireworks by Grucci to be invited to help manage this fireworks extravaganza. The Chinese understood that without the Grucci's cutting-edge expertise in digital firing, a show of this magnitude could never take place. The irony of producing a show for the Chinese, however, was not lost on the program's technical director, Phil Grucci.
This is the first time the Grucci family has collaborated on a program in China. We're thinking this is the country that invented black powder, that developed the first firecracker.
China's affection for fireworks definitely lives on. It's how the Chinese celebrate occasions both small and very big.
By our invitation to come here and assist them to produce this largest fireworks show in the country of China ever, They, in essence, said, here's our great fireworks. Now, please put a show together for us and produce this great entertainment meeting.
Thanks to centuries of relative isolation, Chinese art and culture were allowed to flower. Here, more than 1,000 years ago, the first gunpowder was developed, not for making war, but for dazzling displays of thunder and fire. Today, China's pyrotechnic tradition continues, with more fireworks factories than anywhere, particularly in the Shanghai region. China chose Shanghai to host the first meeting on its soil of APEC nation heads of state. APEC's goal is to promote economic relations between member countries. The occasion called for a traditional Chinese welcome of unprecedented scale. To design the show, they hired acclaimed New York-based artist and fireworks designer Tsai Guoqiang, winner of a Venice Biennale Golden Lion and other awards from important museums like the Guggenheim.
Fireworks, by their very nature, are an artistic form of expression. Like a single flower, a fireworks explosion in the sky is a complete work of art. The main benefit of asking an artist's involvement in a fireworks show is to give it rhythm and theme.
Another reason the Gruccis were brought in was that they had collaborated with Tsai in the past on other large-scale fireworks projects. However, none as big as this.
The producers finally started looking at the size of this program and realizing it was beyond just a normal fireworks program. The reason why we were invited to the project was because of our abilities to deliver the show. Our showmanship creativity, our showmanship abilities, and our project management, which is a big part of being able to deliver that show.
Their crew would consist of 300 Chinese and 65 Americans. Tsai's ambitious plan called for computerized firings of over 40,000 devices in a short 18-minute program.
I think the Gruccis have the greatest technical challenge. They have it the hardest with all the elements involved in the program. The barges, the buildings on the bund, the river shoreline, the boats, all working and synchronized together in time with the music.
Our technology and our firing systems we're bringing here from the United States to put this program together of thousands and thousands of fireworks shows and make it an art form.
For the show to be a success, Tsai and the Gruccis must navigate an ocean of Chinese agencies and institutions. For Tsai, who is returning for the first time in 15 years, it is a chance to design a show for his native land. Due to his international reputation as an artist, he enjoys an unusual degree of freedom on this project, in contrast with the relative lack of freedom of his earlier days here.
The site itself has been a major inspiration for the show. Many other shows might involve a river, barges, and of course the sky. But the opportunity to work with the buildings on the bund, having a middle ground for this grand stage, is unique. This has been the basic inspiration and structure for the program.
So as any major ceremony, international ceremony, you roll the red carpet out for the guests. And the first scene in this program is us rolling out a red flickering red carpet that's going to be 1,000 feet long by 600 feet wide across the river.
The team would run into many obstacles, but they would soon realize that the key to pulling off this show would be their ability to compromise.
Working with the Chinese was quite challenging.
They think this is the same thing. If we put this electric match here.
We found that what we had on paper was crumpled up and thrown off to the side, and we were working on a day-to-day basis and making adjustments as we went along.
One of the main technical feats involves special effect pyrotechnics fired from the rooftops of the European-style buildings along Shanghai's famous Bund.
We had full cooperation with the city because this was such an important event for the Chinese government and the city of Shanghai. The pleasant surprises were when there were blockades that we might not normally get through here. There, those blockades were opened very quickly in order to get to the end result, which is a successful fireworks program.
With VIPs safely out of sight, only Chinese security personnel and select media are on the streets at showtime. In ancient times, fireworks were used in China as offerings to heaven. Today, they are just as ethereal, appearing and disappearing in the night sky, evoking a range of emotions. In the middle of the program, a 4,000-foot-long fireworks chain meant to represent a dragon, weaves its way through the rooftops along the Bund. Dragons to the Chinese mean good luck, reflecting people's hopes and inner thoughts.
Fireworks is a great medium to be able to transcend those international barriers, to be able to use the art form, the vision, as a means of communicating.
On this grand canvas, the fireworks artists have painted a masterpiece, expressing not only a warm welcome to distinguished guests, but also a representation of China's remarkable past and its great aspirations for the future. Breathtaking display, 3,000 pyrotechnic devices spew silver flame from the 1,500-foot Pearl Tower as the show reaches its climax.
Lantern shells in the fireworks tradition, specific to the Chinese tradition, is a shell that goes up in the air and it opens up like a red lantern. There's a candle on the inside, and because of the heat that the candle produces, it keeps the lantern airborne in the sky for about 15 seconds. When it's all over and said, and you look at that show and say, that was something that we did, we produced that. And working with the Chinese, like going into war, you're kind of battling somebody, and at the end, you give yourself a hug, or you walk down the street and say, we won't do that anymore. But I would go back to China in a heartbeat. I'd go back there again and look for a bigger challenge.
From China, where fireworks began and continue their reign, to Spain, where they're such a part of the culture they're practically in the blood. Tons upon tons of firepower used to create joy. Whether it's to celebrate a national holiday with pride and patriotism, as at Mount Rushmore, or to ring in the new year as only Las Vegas can, or whether it's to throw a huge party for a mega event like the Kentucky Derby, fireworks demonstrate their timeless power to inspire the imagination and fire the soul. There's a connection that goes way back, one that millions of people make every time they watch the sky come alive with fire.